To you, Post Office Box 2, Portland, Oregon, 97207.
On Capitol Hill, a bloody battle over the charges that threaten Clarence Thomas's Supreme Court chances.
And Anita Hill will be sucked right into the maw. She will be injured and destroyed and belittled and hounded and harassed, real harassment.
The Senate delays its vote to hear from Thomas and his accuser.
If called to Washington, I will fully cooperate with the efforts of the Senate.
Tonight, Clarence Thomas finds himself on trial.
Now the question
This is ABC News Nightline. Reporting from Washington, Ed Koppel.
It is already more than unpleasant. It's going to get downright nasty. Somehow the entire confirmation procedure has boiled down to a question of whether Clarence Thomas did or did not engage in the sexual harassment of an employee some 10 years ago. And that, in turn, can be reduced to the question of whether you believe Judge Thomas or law professor Anita Hill. Ultimately, the answer to the question will hinge on the issue of credibility, which means that both Judge Thomas and Professor Hill should brace themselves. In each case, it is their credibility which will be called into question. ABC News has conducted a random telephone poll of more than 500 people during the past few hours. The poll has a margin of error of 5 points in either direction. It reflects some considerable public confusion. Asked if they approve of tonight's Senate delay in the confirmation vote, 50% of our respondents said yes, 39% said no. And yet, when the same people were asked whether Judge Thomas should be confirmed, 50% also said yes, only 25% said no. Just how damaging the charge against Judge Thomas can be, however, was reflected in the response to a third question. If the charge against him is true, should the Senate reject Judge Thomas? 63% said yes, 31% said no. So it all hinges on that one issue. Here's a report on how the day's events developed from Nightline correspondent Jeff Greenfield.
All day, the storm clouds were gathering. With an apparently unbreakable 6 p.m. confirmation vote scheduled, the usual congressional niceties were hard to come by. Republican Senator Orrin Hatch was fuming at the leak of a confidential FBI file to the press that reported Anita Hill's charges of sexual harassment.
Now, I'm not going to point the finger at any particular senator, but we know that it had to come from a senator's staff or a senator in this body, because nobody else knew about that report. And it makes it nonetheless reprehensible.
Democrat Barbara Mikulski, one of 2 women in the Senate, was insisting that the charges against Clarence Thomas had to be heard.
If we don't delay, we'll never really be sure about our nominee to the court. And in addition to that, we are now sending a message to the American people that we do not take sexual harassment seriously enough to conduct a full and serious investigation or inquiry into it.
Even the House of Representatives, with no voice in the confirmation vote, was caught up in the emotion. When a Democratic congresswoman mentioned the word Senate, a violation of arcane House rules, tempers exploded.
Mr. Speaker, the Senate is about to embark on a misguided journey. A vote this evening on the Thomas nomination. How can there be a...
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. I demand the gentlewoman's words be taken down.
the gentlewoman will suspend.
In apparent protest, a group of Democratic congresswomen marched en masse over to the Senate.
It is the Congress of the United States that writes these sexual harassment laws. If a woman in the United States of America can't get some redress before the Congress of the United States, where else does she go?
With the scheduled 6 p.m. vote just hours away, Tennessee Democrat Jim Sasser asked, what's the rush?
No one has made a credible case that we shouldn't have time to allow senators to examine the record fully, to give the nominee himself an opportunity to deny or explain these charges.
Iowa Republican Charles Grassley deplored the lack of fair play.
The events of the past few days have constituted the worst treatment of a nominee that I have seen in my 11 years in the Senate.
By mid-afternoon, the momentum for a delay was building. signaled by a steady stream of pro-Thomas Democrats who were now urging that the vote be put off. Nevada's Richard Bryan was typical.
The only responsible course for us as members of this body to discharge the constitutional obligation which is incumbent upon us is, to the best of our ability, conduct a thorough examination of these allegations.
Lieberman of Connecticut, Dixon of Illinois, Republican Arlen Specter of Pennsylvania all weighed in. At midday, in an attempt to stem the tide, Missouri's John Danforth, the man who gave Clarence Thomas his start in public life and who has been his most devoted supporter, took to the Senate radio TV gallery and released a sworn statement by the judge that flatly denied Anita Hill's allegations. Danforth also released logs of telephone calls, purportedly showing a cordial friendship between Thomas and Miss Hill of long-standing duration. But this afternoon, with the handwriting on the wall, Danforth took to the Senate floor almost overwhelmed by emotion as he reported the words Judge Thomas had said to him in a phone call.
They have taken from me what I have taken 43 years to build, my reputation. And he said, I want to clear my name with great pain and great anger at an injustice which is being perpetrated on him. And I ask for a delay.
Overhanging the angry words was the issue that had thrown the Senate into turmoil, the sexual harassment charges of Anita Hill. She had this to say late today.
My only reaction is to say that if called to Washington, I will fully cooperate with the efforts of the Senate.
Those who asked for a delay in the vote said that it was important to show that the virtually all-male Senate took charges of sexual harassment seriously.
If the Senate votes tonight, the Senate would be saying that a charge of sexual harassment is not important enough to fully investigate before acting on this nomination.
And Thomas supporter Alan Simpson bitterly offered this advice to the press about the apparent coming clash between the judge and the law professor.
Maybe in cynical array they can ring the curtain down on them both, and maybe we can get them both to cry. That'll be something.
At 8:15 tonight, after some 4 hours of closed-door negotiations, Senate leaders George Mitchell and Robert Dole emerged to announce the new schedule.
That the vote on the Thomas nomination, previously set for 6 p.m. this evening, occur at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, October 15th.
And once again, it was Senator John Danforth who provided the emotional capstone for the day with despairing words over what was to come.
I can see it coming. Advertising virtually for people to come forward with whatever they want to dump on Clarence Thomas.
This coming Friday, the Senate Judiciary Committee will meet again, and the possible confrontation between Judge Thomas and Anita Hill could produce one of the most dramatic hearings in years. But however compelling the story, there's also an overwhelming sense of dispirit. Even before these charges, the whole confirmation process had been under a cloud. Critics assailed the pomposity, the constitutional ignorance of some of the questioners. Others assailed the often evasive answers of Judge Thomas. Now the process has been immersed in charges that represent either an inexcusable slander or an inexcusable choice of a nominee. Ted?
Is there any objective evidence that is already on the record that would either confirm some of Professor Hill's charges or lend credence to them, Jeff?
Well, as opposed to those phone logs, which clearly she's going to have to explain, I can tell you already that what's circulating is a U.S. News and World Report profile back in mid-September, which, in a friendly profile of Thomas's days at Yale Law School, recounted the fact that he would often regale his fellow students with hilarious descriptions of the X-rated movies he liked to watch for relaxation. Now, is that proof that he didn't take any of that seriously, that it was a matter of humor for him, or does it prove that he liked X-rated movies? And what that has to do with the confirmation of a Supreme Court justice is all going to be bound up in the next several days.
But inevitably, we're going to be hearing that kind of stuff, too.
You bet.
Jeff, thank you. Later in the broadcast, we'll be talking with Senator Al Gore, who gave an impassioned speech on the Senate floor in favor of a delay. However, when we come back, Clarence Thomas's chief sponsor in the Senate, Senator John Danforth.
This is ABC News Nightline, brought to you by the fun ships of Carnival Cruise Lines.
Do you love to exercise? I'm at one of the finest health spas and resorts going. I could enjoy a complete workout, sauna, massage, special Nautica spa diet. It's all right here. But what I really love about this health spa is that it goes everywhere I go. Take a 3, 4, or 7-day fun ship vacation on Carnival, the most popular cruise line in the world.
How do you improve a design like Ford Taurus? With no negatives, you simply accentuate the positives. Aerodynamic design becomes slipperier. Instrumentation and controls become handier. An inviting interior becomes friendlier. And in the end, the most award-winning car in its class becomes even classier. The new Ford Taurus. Have you ever wished the good things in life could get even better? Have you driven a Ford lately?
As cars get older, they may need higher and higher octane to perform like they used to. But there is a gasoline specially formulated to control this higher octane need while providing the highest level of engine cleanliness. Texaco System 3. You get great performance in every octane grade.
Still think all gasolines are the same?
Perhaps you're losing a little money on annual credit card fees. Perhaps you should use the card that charges no annual fee. And keep your money where it belongs. It pays to discover. When you receive your pre-approved Discover Card application, sign it. Because you can't earn cash back until you get it back. It pays to discover.
It's one of the strangest stories in all of show business. The genius of the Beach Boys, Brian Wilson. His family says he's now the prisoner of a greedy doctor. Primetime, Thursday.
Republican Senator John Danforth of Missouri is Clarence Thomas's chief sponsor in the Senate. I spoke with Senator Danforth an hour ago. Senator Danforth, this afternoon, Senator Simpson made it sound as though Professor Hill was going to go through a very, very rough time indeed. In fact, it sounded like a barely concealed threat. You know, you've now put Judge Thomas in a very difficult position. We are going to, he didn't use these words, but it sounded this way, you're going to be ripped limb from limb. Why should anyone feel, why should any woman feel that it is worth her while, even if the charge, or particularly if the charge is true, to undergo that kind of cross-examination?
Yeah. Ted, I can't answer that question. And I was talking yesterday to a man who's the university president, and he says that these charges crop up on the university campus, and it's very hard to sort them out. And it's very hard to put yourself inside somebody else's head. So that's the problem that I have. I think that, you know, trying to go back 8, 9, 10 years, trying to figure out what happened then and perhaps what has happened since, the turn of events, I think that's all very difficult. I do know that Clarence Thomas is a person of great character. I know that his whole reputation now has been called into question, not just his nomination for the Supreme Court. As he said to me today, this is something I worked 43 years to build up, and I must defend myself. So he'll do it to the best of his ability.
I suppose it's self-evident, but since you're one of the few people today who has spoken to Judge Thomas, assess for me his mood, would you?
Extreme pain, very great sorrow, and a real question during the day, Ted, on whether he wanted to go through with another week. On one hand, he wanted vindication. He wanted to present his story. On the other hand, this has been torture. This is the 100th day. Today is the 100th day. And during that 100 days, various organizations have been throwing everything they can at the man. All kinds of charges have been made against him during this period of time, involving his life and his reputation and his standards. It has been a grueling, miserable experience for him, and then to be told, hey, it's not going to end after all, you have to go another week, And during that week, all kinds of things are going to be said about you, and people are really going to hate you. That is hardly worth it.
Was there a moment today when he was considering withdrawing?
Yes, there was. As I say, it was a question of how much more of this to take. And on the other hand, the idea that in the end was very strongly expressed by him that, as he put it, they have taken from me something I have worked 43 years to build, and that is my reputation.
Did he talk himself out of it? Did you talk him out of it? Did the president talk him out of it? I mean, why did he decide to go on?
Well, I think it's similar to what happens in a lot of people's minds. It's an ambivalence. It's a sense that whatever happens, it's not going to be good. But what is the worst thing? And I think that he feels it's very important for him to come forward in a public forum under oath and look the committee in the eye and look the American people in the eye and say, this isn't true. This did not happen. And then people can either believe him or not believe him, but he thinks that that's a very important thing for him to do.
But did he, what I'm asking is, did he have to be talked out of withdrawing?
No. Oh, no. There was never any idea of withdrawing. The question was, do we proceed with the agreed-on vote at 6 o'clock tonight, or instead do we put it off for some period of time into the future, which turned out to be a week? There was never any talk about withdrawing.
I misunderstood you. I thought you had said that he, at some point today, did consider withdrawing.
No, if I did, I'm sorry, because he really didn't. What the issue was, should we have the vote tonight? And it was clear that if we had the vote tonight, that would have ended the whole thing negatively. He would have lost the vote.
Senator Danforth, I know it's been a very long and hard day for you. I'm most appreciative that you came and joined us this evening. Thank you, sir. When we come back, we'll talk with Senator Al Gore, who says the Senate may have taken the charges against Thomas more seriously, might have, if its membership was 98 women and 2 men instead of the reverse.
Are you waiting longer for overseas calls to connect? Latino Chicago Theater Company. Are you saving less than you'd hoped on international calls since you left AT&T? We want you back. AT&T Pro Watts. Competitive prices on international calls. Plus our new favorite nation 10% discount. Switch now and get 1 month of long distance free. We want you back. Call 1-800-222-0900.
These are remarkable cars, and I've left all this space to show you why. First, Dodge Spirit and Plymouth Acclaim are the lowest priced 6-passenger cars in the world, even with an airbag and all the goodies you see here. But okay, you want to spruce it up, so you start adding options: air, automatic, 4-speaker stereo. When you're through, you'll find that Spirit and Acclaim, with all this, are still the lowest priced 6-passenger cars on the planet.
Now, get a warranty choice no other manufacturer offers.
Where did they get the money to buy that?
Night, honey.
Is he asleep?
Yes, now it's our time.
Great. Let's have a fire.
When it seems there's no time, there's always time for a convenient natural gas fire.
Nice.
Call for your free natural gas fireplace home decorator's guide.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Ah, a warm, cozy fire. What a nice way to start the day.
To enjoy the comfort of a high-efficiency natural gas fireplace, call for your free home decorator's guide. It's full of ideas on how to decorate with natural gas fireplaces. Hi, Mike. Come on in.
Thanks, Kim. Hey, nice fire.
Ready when the mood strikes you. As easy as flipping a switch. Discover how a high-efficiency natural gas fireplace can enhance the beauty of your home. Call 1-800-772-9700 for your free decorator's guide.
Where did they get the money to buy that?
She says she's out there, infecting as many men as she can with AIDS, all for revenge. An angel of death in a city of fear. Primetime, Thursday.
Would you buy a personal hovercraft, a car without wheels? Tomorrow, inventions for the near future.
Then sorting through the mortgage maze and former wise guy Ken Wall on Good Morning America tomorrow.
Joining us in our Washington studios is Democratic Senator Al Gore, who argued strongly to delay the vote on Judge Thomas. You are, of course, quite right, Senator. There are only 2 women. There are 98 men in the Senate, but there are more women voting in the United States these days, as you know, than men. How much of an impact did that ultimately make?
Well, Ted, first, let me say I could feel the pain being experienced by my friend Jack Danforth, who has been the most loyal advocate for this man, Clarence Thomas, for whom he feels a genuine love and affection. And if I ever had to choose an advocate and ally in a cause, I would choose Jack Danforth. He has been very loyal and faithful, but this is not the only force the Senate has to contend with here, and the one you mentioned in your question is extremely important. We have been undergoing a significant change in thought here in the United States for many decades now, but it's been picking up steam in the last couple of decades. A change wherein the particular viewpoint of women on things like sexual harassment is being given a lot more respect and understanding on the part of institutions that have historically been dominated by a male perspective. And I think the Senate began to realize that the fact that it is 98 men and only 2 women might, ought to give us a little self-doubt about our ability to just cavalierly brush aside an allegation as serious as the one made by Professor Hill.
I guess the question I'm asking is, are we going to be treated now to a 1 or 2 day morality play up on the Hill in which senators go through the motion and say, all right, now we have given this the requisite attention that it needs, or do you think there truly is going to be the kind of thorough investigation of these charges that apparently a lot of people now feel is called for?
Well, I don't think there's any question about the fact that all involved are intent on making certain that what follows is a full and fair exploration of the allegations that have been raised.
Well, I do have a question about that. Forgive me for interrupting you, because when I listened to Senator Simpson warn Professor Hill that she is going to be, and I jotted the words down, hounded, belittled, harassed. I mean, that's not even a thinly veiled threat. That's a flat-out threat. Lady, you come up here, you're going to have one whale of a hard time.
I think Alan might have been misunderstood on that. I think his point, you can agree with it or not, is that the process itself subjects people who are drawn into it to a lot of indignities and questions of a kind that they just may not be prepared for. And he may not have meant it the way I think you are interpreting it, but there's no doubt that many of Judge Thomas's defenders have managed to leave the impression that her statement is most unwelcome and is viewed with real hostility, when in fact, this differing perspective that women bring to this issue is based partly on the experience they have had in coming forward and encountering just that kind of wall of hostility and lack of comprehension.
But how ultimately can you avoid a mud-slinging circus up there on Friday and possibly Saturday when both these people are cross-examined by members of the Senate Judiciary Committee? Because ultimately, people are going to be throwing in Judge Thomas's face the pornographic movies that he went to see when he was a college student. Ultimately, people are going to be throwing in Professor Hill's face, the phone calls. So why did you call this guy if he'd been harassing you? It's going to get very nasty, isn't it?
Well, I hope not. And I don't agree with you that those examples you mentioned are necessarily going to be a part of this. I think that it's important to keep the focus on the seriousness of what was brought to the Senate's attention. The Senate was, as an institution, was in a kind of a no-win situation. It's true, as Jack Danforth says, that any delay at this point causes pain and anguish for Judge Thomas and his family. But that has to be balanced against what would have happened if the Senate had taken the alternative course. Here, a law professor who convinced the nation and the Senate from her demeanor and her appearance in public that she is a very credible and well-spoken, self-possessed person, says what she says. How can that be just cavalierly tossed aside as if it does not matter?
We've only got
about
45 seconds left. I guess what I'm driving at is, since neither one of them is going to be able to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt his or her credibility, doesn't it ultimately boil down to discrediting one or the other?
Well, I don't know. There will be an opportunity to ask for corroboration from witnesses, and there will be attempts to get at the truth in various ways. I don't know. It'll be a great challenge for the committee and for the Senate. These confirmation proceedings are always about people, and they're always very difficult, this one more than most. It's a challenge I hope the Senate is up to.
Senator Gore, I know it's been a very long, hard day for you also, and I thank you very much for coming in this evening. We'll be back in a moment with a program note.
In the right hands, even the most functional things can be art. So we asked a sculptor to design a new luxury sedan, the Mazda 929. And while it offers a generous list of safety features and amenities to comfort both mind and body, its richest rewards are for the soul. The new 929, the first luxury sedan from the new Mazda.
It just feels right.
To get rid of her gray, my wife can spend 40 minutes. But I discovered this 5-minute hair coloring.
The revolutionary discovery called Just for Men from the leader in men's hair coloring. Simply apply Just for Men and in 5 minutes shampoo out.
Gray is blended away. The look of my natural color is back in 5 minutes. That was me, and it won't fade or wash out.
My hair takes forever, but you look great in just 5 minutes.
The look of your natural color in just 5 minutes with Just for Men.
10 years. His hair is a little thinner.
I don't remember her looking so beautiful.
Not bad. Our next chalk. Hello, stranger.
I'm hardly a stranger.
Well, you are late.
I know. You shouldn't have waited 10 years for this. Happy anniversary.
The diamond anniversary band. Tell her you'd marry her all over again.
You sure can pick an appetizer.
The temperature never drops below Xerex. That's very important to remember, especially at a time like this, when it's very deserted and very cold. Ah, you did remember Xerex Antifreeze. The temperature never drops below Xerex.
We're flattered that after 60 years, people still get impatient for the natural whole grain goodness. Roman meal bread. Kind of proves we've had it right all along. Roman meal. It's that good.
There'll be a complete report on the continuing battle over the Thomas nomination tomorrow on World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. That's our report for tonight. I'm Ted Koppel in Washington. For all of us here at ABC News, good night.
This has been ABC News Nightline. If you wish a video cassette version of Nightline, the cost is $14.98 plus $3.98.